providing any specific details. They say they'll reach the president's goal of 100 million doses weeks earlier than they had originally planned. Can you believe it was a year ago today that a 5.7 magnitude earthquake rocked Utah? Wade Matthews with the state's Emergency Management Division says anytime there's an earthquake, you need to remember to drop, cover, and hold on.
We always say if you're inside, stay inside. If you're outside, stay outside. The biggest cause of injury and death in an earthquake is from falling objects, and that's why we do drop, cover, and hold on. Get underneath something sturdy, something overhead that will protect us.
Matthew says don't forget to check on family members after the shaking stops. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 167 to 33,183, just niched down actually to 181. The S&P is down 13, the NASDAQ down 187. Coming up on KSL News Radio, how long are these warm days going to last? We'll check it next. KSL News Time, 12:02.
Tim and Amanda start the day with total information. Dave and Dujanovic go deeper starting at 9.
Those social connections that we make, I completely and totally took them for granted.
The emotional wear and tear on you has been far greater than you anticipated.
Utah's morning companions for news on KSL News Radio.
Since 1929, couples have been coming to Shane Company to get their dream engagement rings and wedding bands. When my grandfather founded the company, he pioneered a unique way of doing business, directly sourcing our stones around the world in person. We hand select the prettiest stones from ethical sources worldwide. This allows us to cut out all middlemen and their markups and pass those savings on to you. Unlike other jewelers, we pay cash up front. That's why we get first pick of their best stones and the prices. Shane Company has grown to become Salt Lake's favorite family jeweler. Because of our direct sourcing, you'll always get the best value and the most beautiful natural diamonds, rubies, and sapphires. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and shaneco.com.
IVC has been the leading interventional vascular and vein center in Utah for over 15 years. Have you ever heard of varicocele? If you haven't, be thankful. But if you have, then listen close, because you know how painful this vascular problem can be. It's more common than you think, occurring in about 10% of men. Similar to varicose veins, a varicocele is an abnormal enlargement of veins in the midsection. This condition is associated with infertility and often causes chronic debilitating groin pain. You said it, ouch. But there is good news. The doctors at IVC are experts in the minimally invasive non-surgical treatment of varicoceles. If you or a significant other has been diagnosed with varicocele, let the experts at IVC help. As IVC has been saying for years, life starts when the pain stops. IVC can also help many other vascular disorders, including pelvic venous congestion, blood clots, and varicose veins. Why wait? Visit ivein.com or call 801-379-6700 today for a free consultation.
With all that's going on in the world and in the stock market, there is no better time to align yourself with a local, trusted financial partner. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth. We are a full-service, privately owned firm with an A-plus Better Business Bureau rating. Our goals are aligned with yours because we're paid a low, flat fee that is established upfront with you and is completely transparent. And unlike most advisors, our advice isn't conflicted by limited product selection or strong biases. Full service means we do most everything financial: investment management, insurance, tax planning, Social Security and income planning, as well as legal needs such as wills and trusts. Our fiduciary advisors will take the time to get to know you and your situation. Call Trajan Wealth today, 801-899-7600, 801-899-7600, or visit TrajanWealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth and SEC registered investment advisor.
Traffic and weather together. Here's Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center. Is that who I have?
No, it's Andy.
Oh, no, Andy. Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Thanks, Kira. Traffic actually doing well on the freeways this morning. We do have some backups on Highway 6, though, as you exit the freeway and try to approach it in Spanish Fork near I-15. But after you're on I-15, you'll be able to go as far north as Ogden without running into any delays. We have a crash 1300 east at about 5700 south. That should be in the cleanup stages now. That's just south of the 56 South intersection, and it looks like just a little bit of a southbound delay. Getting a home energy plan from Dominion Energy gives you steps to improve your home's energy efficiency to save money, and you can get appliance rebates. Get your home energy plan at thermwise.com. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, nice and warm today with highs in the upper 60s. Tomorrow we're going to get so close to 70, but it's going to get ruined on Saturday when we have a 70% chance of rain and temperatures are going to go back down towards the 50. Right this very second, it's 55 with a couple clouds in the sky at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM and KSLNewsRadio.com. This is Utah's all-day companion for news.
This hour, it's Let Me Speak to the Governor. Governor Spencer Cox answers questions from KSL and from you. Call now, 801-575-8255. Let Me Speak to the Governor, live from the studios of KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for Let Me Speak to the Governor. I'm Maria Chaleos, along with Utah Governor Spencer Cox, and we are taking your calls right now at 801-575-8255. You can also text us at 57500. And Governor, just like last month, you are joining us this morning with some great news about COVID and people being able to get vaccines even sooner than we had expected. You said today 16 plus can get a COVID vaccine beginning next Wednesday. Tell us what has changed and what has allowed us to do this.
Well, Maria, thank you so much for having me back on. I actually get to see you today.
I know, this is great.
Laptop. It is great. So, what's changed? I was approached this week by our local health departments as well as our state health department, asking if we could speed up the change in opening vaccinations to everyone in the state, at least every adult in the state. And there were really two reasons for that. One, they actually had about 15% of their doses available next week that had not been scheduled yet. And so they're worried. They want to make sure that we always fill every single potential vaccination slot. And so that was the first reason. The second reason is that there are several harder to reach populations in our state. Some of that is geographic, and some of that is vaccine hesitancy. So you think of some of our frontier towns, our most rural towns, and then some of our multicultural communities where we haven't seen as much of an uptake, and the ability for them to go in and just vaccinate everyone who wants a vaccine at the same time. So doing an entire family instead of just doing those over the age of 50 and these different populations. So those two things combined were enough. I trust them to convince me to make that change again. Not today, but starting next week. That still gives us time for those that are over the age of 50 and with underlying comorbidities who haven't scheduled a vaccine yet but want one. They should be able to schedule one. Again, there are slots available right now. We encourage them to do that. But then starting next week, we're done with all of those different categories. We're opening it up to everyone. And we don't have enough vaccines for everyone yet. So it's going to take several weeks to do that. But if you can find a slot, you can definitely get in. And that's a big deal for our state.
Governor, talk for a minute about vaccine hesitancy. Is that proving to be a big problem? Are people reticent to get the vaccine?
Well, it's not a big problem yet, but it's definitely going to be. And that's people ask me, all of the concerns that people are talking about right now aren't mine. My concern, the thing that's keeping me up at night, is that we know that in the coming weeks that we will have that vaccine hesitancy will be an issue with certain populations. There's been a lot of data around this. We've certainly done some here in the state, and we've been in kind of the scarcity mindset for so long. I've been asking our teams to really focus on what happens when we have an abundance of vaccines. And how do we help people understand that they're safe and that this is the most important way to get back to normal, that you can trust these, and again, it's not just to protect you, although that's a great reason to do it, but it also protects other people around you. The more of us that get vaccinated, vaccines aren't perfect. We know that even with these amazing vaccines at a 95% efficacy rate and 100%, they actually have been perfect against death and hospitalization so far. But it keeps it from spreading, right? If more of us, if we get to that herd immunity that virologists have talked about so much, that really matters. And so yes, you're going to see ad campaigns over the next couple of weeks focusing on different populations, encouraging us all to get that vaccine so we can get back to normal quickly.
Governor, compare how we are doing with other states when it comes to giving out vaccines.
We're doing very, very well. So there's a couple caveats. So one, the only thing we have control over, we don't have control over how many vaccines they send us. We only have control over how quickly we get them into the arms of people. And right now we're 6th in the nation out of 50 states. We're pretty proud of that. We were 39th at one point, so we've moved all the way up to 6th to get those shots into arms. There is another category that people will notice where it shows the total population vaccinated. That's a very unfair category to use because we can't vaccinate kids under the age of 16. And the reason that impacts Utah is we have more kids than anyone else in the nation. So it'll look like we're at the bottom when it comes at vaccines per capita, but you can't look at that. It should only be adult population that matters. And with that, we're doing, again, a very good job. We're also one of the fastest growing states in the nation. And I mentioned this last week, but unfortunately, the federal government is using data that is 2 years old to distribute vaccines per capita, again, per adult capita. Mm-hmm. And so states like Utah and Nevada are at a disadvantage because we're growing so much faster than those states, and we should be getting an increased portion. We've talked to the federal government, to the White House about that. We've been told that they are going to update those numbers soon. And when they do, Utah will get an even higher proportion. But again, getting vaccine into arms is the only metric we have control over, and Utah is in the top 10 for getting that done.
You already mentioned our younger population, how large it is, and the fact that those children can't get vaccines. How is that going to impact herd immunity in the state of Utah? We all want to get back to normal.
Yeah, it's a good question. And Maria, I do have an update. We've moved from 6th to 5th place. So
nice.
We're top 5 in the nation in doing that. That happened yesterday, and I missed that data. That's good news. So we're not really sure exactly how that's going to impact people. The good news is with this disease, unlike the flu and some others, is that young people aren't impacted nearly as much by the disease as older populations. And in fact, there's some discussion and debate over, especially the youngest population, their ability to spread the disease. It's still a little bit unclear, but what I'm less worried about, and we forget this sometimes, right? Zero risk is not a thing in society. We, earthquakes, for example, it was a year ago today, we had an earthquake. We're at risk for having an earthquake, but we have to go on with our lives. We prepare for it, we do our best, and then we move on. The same thing is true here. What I'm most concerned about, and the reason this is a pandemic, and the reason we've had to do all of these things, is because we're worried about deaths and hospitalizations, right? And with this disease particularly, that impacts the elderly population. So some great news. Over the age of 70 now, 81% have been vaccinated. From 65 to 69, 69% have been vaccinated. Those are the numbers I'm most concerned about. We will get a vaccination for kids. That will probably happen over the summer. But again, if we can get our adult population vaccinated in great numbers, and right now we're 80% of respondents in Utah who have not already received the vaccine said they are very likely or somewhat likely to receive the vaccine. That's higher than just about any state in the nation. So we're excited about those numbers. We'll get to kids, but we're not nearly as worried about the spread of disease amongst them because, again, the repercussions, the hospitalizations, and the mortality rates are so much smaller. I mean, that is like the flu with kids.
All right. Before we come back with questions and calls, one final question for you, and that is about the April 10th date to lift the statewide mask mandate and the endgame bill passed by the legislature. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've talked about this a lot. This was, that was not the date that we chose. The legislature actually wanted a March 10th date. And so what we wanted to do was get more people vaccinated. Now, I would have preferred that we waited another month to into May so that we could get vaccines to everybody that wanted one. The legislature wanted March. This is the difficulty with legislation, right? We talk about it, we debate about it, and then we compromise where we can, and they had a veto-proof majority. They certainly had the numbers to override that. So I'm very grateful that we were able to get April 10th. And look, that doesn't mean you should you should stop wearing a mask. And people, I think, are smart enough to understand that. Public health is saying that. If you haven't been vaccinated, you should still wear a mask. Protect yourself, protect those around you. Masks are improving. And if you don't have a better mask, you can double mask. There are things we can do to protect ourselves. We still have a mask mandate in large gatherings, which is really important. We will still have a mask mandate in our schools. And so those things matter, and people can make their decision. Businesses can make their decisions. We encourage people, if a business says you have to wear a mask, wear a mask. Don't I said this last week, don't be a jerk. Don't attack the store clerk. Don't attack the manager. Just be better. We don't need to do that. We're so close to getting out of this. Let's not jump out of the boat too early. We're almost to the shore, as the director of health, Rich Saunders, likes to say.
All right. And the number to call if you would like to ask the governor a question, 801-575-8255. You can also text us your questions at 57500. We'll be right back.
Amanda, one of the reasons we love, and we have many reasons why we love to talk about UCCU, is the fact that they make banking so super easy.
UCCU's super easy mobile banking app provides every financial service you need, and I mean anywhere and anytime you want.
Yeah, they've always been the leader in technologies that make banking easier, faster, safer than ever before. And right now, UCCU's mobile banking app makes it super easy to do your banking anytime, anywhere.
So, for instance, let's say you need a credit card. You just open the UCCU mobile banking app, you click apply for a loan, and you select credit card.
And if you're in the market to buy or refinance a home, just use your phone to fill out an easy mortgage application, and then UCCU's intelligent technology goes right to work.
I love using all of this. UCC always provides the lowest rate possible on every type of loan, so you're going to save money.
If you're not a member of UCCU, well, that's easy too.
Just give them a call. Visit them at uccu.com or stop by any branch.
UCCU, you're going to love where you bank.
Are you a small business owner and, like so many others, struggling to stay afloat during the pandemic? As business slows down, so does your cash flow. And after almost a year of slow, a lifeline could be very much appreciated. If you could use money to help keep your doors open and your workforce employed right now, MoFi can help. MoFi is a nonprofit lender serving the Rocky Mountain West, and it's now providing forgivable Paycheck Protection Program loans for small businesses in Utah. That's right. These PPP loans are 100% forgivable and used for eligible business expenses. MoFi has helped restaurants, daycares, hair salons, physical therapists, even many independent contractors and sole proprietors. If you'd like a PPP loan and haven't been able to get one at a bank or credit union, apply now at mofi.org. That's MOFI.org. You can also talk to a human about your application toll-free at 844-728-9234. That's 844-728-9234.
Close your eyes. Unless you're driving, then obviously keep them open. Still with us? Okay. Now, imagine over 1 million books stacked on top of one another. That's over 30 miles high, as high as the stratosphere. Now, what if you could fit all these books into your phone and listen to story after story anytime and any place you wanted? With Scribd, you can. Yes, Scribd, like fibbed or ribbed, but spelled S-C-R-I-B-D. It's endless streaming for reading, but instead of TV shows, you're getting audiobooks, ebooks, magazines, sheet music, and more, all through a single app. With a subscription to Scribd, you're putting a whole library in your pocket for just $10 a month. Then listen to an audiobook by your favorite author instead of this commercial. For a limited time, try Scribd free for 30 days. There's no commitment, and you can cancel anytime. For your free 30-day trial, get the app on your favorite mobile device or go to Scribd.com. That's Scribd.com. Scribd.com.
Hey guys, it's Eric with Wasatch Heat Cable. It's been a mild winter, but we are still seeing serious issues with ice dams on roofs. We install heat cable and snow retention year-round, and this is what we do day in and day out. Ice dams form quickly and can do a lot of damage on a home. Wasatch Heat Cable is here to help, and now is the best time to inspect your roof. We may only have a few more weeks of winter to take advantage of this time, but have our guys come out and check things out now. Wasatch Heat Cable is offering a free evaluation. We fly a drone, take aerial shots, and identify the problem spots on your roof. If you're having issues with ice dams, call us now. Our teams de-ice problem areas and install heat cable all winter long. Spring will be here soon, and the next few weeks is when we see the most problems really spring up. All the melting snow from the roof can't get through the ice. Guess where it ends up? In your home. Trust me when I say now is the best time to look at your roof. Call now, 801-866-1110. That's 801-866-1110 or visit wasatchheatcable.com.
Get your questions answered by the governor. Call 801-575-8255 to join Let Me Speak to the Governor on KSL News Radio.
And thank you for joining us for Let Me Speak to the Governor. I'm Maria Chaleos, along with Utah Governor Spencer Cox, taking your questions right now. And let's go to Santa Quinn this hour, and that's where we find Beaudry. And Beaudry, what can we help you with this hour?
Well, I hope you don't lose listeners because I don't have a COVID question for you.
Okay, we need a change of subject for just a minute.
Thank you, Beaudry.
Yeah, so Governor Cox, I understand you're a pretty rural person. You grew up rural. You're a big proponent for rural Utah. Well, Santa Quinn's kind of on the cusp. Historically, they've been rural, but now their front yard and backyard is all just sprawling urban growth. So the question I have for you is, does a place like Santa Quinn, should it embrace growth and bring in additional sales tax dollars, or should they resist it? I mean, basically, I spend all of my sales tax dollars elsewhere because I have nowhere to buy anything.
Beaudry, this is the age-old question. You're right. For those that don't know, I was born and raised in Sanpete County, just over the mountain from you guys. I actually spent a lot of time in Santa Quinn, and it has changed over the past few years. I'm still living in Fairview, splitting time between Salt Lake and Fairview. My kids are still going to school there. We're finishing up the school year, and I've spent most of my life in rural Utah. And this is always the debate in every single city and town in rural Utah and rural America. And so I don't have a great answer for that. In fact, my answer is that depends on what Santa Quinn wants to do and become. I really believe that these are decisions that should be made at the local level. Now you can't stop growth. Growth will come whether you want it or not. We are a free country. People have the ability to sell their land. People have the ability to develop that land. And so the better question, I think, is how do we do it the right way? How do we grow in a way that doesn't diminish the quality of life? And the way we do that is by investing in infrastructure. And I'm so grateful this legislative session, we made it a point to in my budget proposal to invest in infrastructure, especially in rural Utah, and that was able to get through the legislature. Historic funding for infrastructure and for rural Utah, and here's why it matters, because I think what I found is what most people want is they want to make sure that their kids and grandkids have an opportunity to live and work where they grew up and near them. It's not for everyone, but it's certainly for some kids. I was a lucky one who got come back home and raise my family there. And we can't do that if we don't embrace at least some growth. But again, it has to be smart growth, because growth can overwhelm a place and it can lose its heart and its flavor. It doesn't have to, but it takes great coordination at the local level. And those are decisions that local officials have to make. But the job of the state is to support them. And that's something I push for throughout the campaign and that we're working on now, to make sure that we have the resources to help those local governments make the right decisions and to protect what's so important in those places.
Thank you, Governor.
All right, Beaudry, thanks for your call today. Our first texter, Governor, is asking, why is the date for not wearing masks why is it a political issue rather than a social health issue? Why isn't Dr. Dunn making this decision in conjunction with local health departments?
Well, it's that's because that's how government works, and it's always been that way forever, right? We elect people to make these decisions for us. We've never allowed local health to make those kind of decisions throughout history. And again, we can argue whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just reality. And what we've been doing, and I stress this all the time, during these emergency orders, when the governor and health departments do make some of those decisions, we are usurping legislative authority to do that. We're not usurping it. I should say a better way is the legislature has given us their power to do those types of things. But those were never intended to last for years. So it's really important that we involve them in those decisions. And again, local health can disagree with it. I can disagree with it, but it's their ability to do it. And if we don't like what they do, then we should show up at the ballot box. But I just think it's so important to remind people that that government doesn't have to tell us everything that we do in our lives. I don't think that's healthy. And so we should listen to local health. All of us should. I'm listening to local health. I will continue to wear a mask even after the mask mandate ends. And so can you, and so should you. Conversely, there are a lot of people that haven't been wearing masks, even though there has been a mask mandate, right? That's the messy part of pandemics. And I hope we have enough grace for each other to get through this, to understand that these are difficult times and difficult decisions for everyone. But we believe, we've seen the data that many people will continue to wear masks. They will follow the health guidance. There have been states that did not have mask mandates like ours, and people have continued to wear masks in those states. And so we're going to get through this. We're so close to the end of this. I would rather that this be guided by public health, and but again, the legislature has the ability to make that decision. They listen to public health. They listen to the different arguments on both sides, and they made this decision. And it is their constitutional duty to make those decisions.
Governor, our next caller is Keith in Far West. And good afternoon, Keith.
Good afternoon, Governor. First off, I want to thank you for what you've done during this pandemic. I mean, I've got a boy that's handicapped, and we've been staying home for a year, go out once a week and give him a ride. And I had a daughter that got COVID that got really, really sick. But my question to you, and I am still wearing a mask and will continue. My question to you is, I know in the back of your mind, you've got a date when you want this to be back to normal. When are you looking at the new norm, Governor?
Yeah, thank you, Keith. And I'm so sorry to hear that. And your daughter and your son. I have two siblings and my dad who are very high risk, and we're used to being extra careful during flu season, and so we've had to be even more careful this time. So we've also been staying home a lot and doing things the right way. You're right, Keith. I do have a time in the back of my head on when we're going to get there. But there's two things that I think are important. And that is I think we're a lot closer than many people may realize. We hear these stories about lockdowns in California and other places, and Utah isn't like that. Right now, we have 24 counties out of our 29 that are in moderate or low transmission index. And that means right now that, again, wearing a mask, everything's open. Now, again, individual groups can determine when they're going to open up fully. So, for example, the Utah Jazz, even though they could have the entire stadium full, for health and safety reasons, they've decided not to do that, and that's a wise choice. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they could fill up the conference center for April conference. They've decided not to do that. It's not a government mandate. That's their decision to protect people and be safe. And I think that's really important. But again, we have to wear masks in these mass gatherings. So we're a lot closer to normal than I think people realize, and we're definitely going in the right direction. The good news, case numbers were down. I think close to 90 today. They were down. That's a I don't know. I haven't done the math. Maybe an 18% decrease over where we were from this day a week ago. So we're trending in the right direction. But to better answer your question, we believe that we will have enough vaccine in the state for everybody that wants one to be fully vaccinated. So getting your second dose and getting past that by mid-May, that's really what we're targeting. Maybe the third week in May, somewhere fourth week, right around there, which means that really by June and certainly by the 4th of July. I mean, I've kind of marked the 4th of July as that date when we're out doing all the things we would normally do, parades and family gatherings and all of those things, because people will have been vaccinated and will be ready to go. So that's the date that I've said publicly. It's the date that we're shooting towards. I think we can beat that date, but I think that's when we just have this collective, hey, we're all together, we're watching fireworks and parades, and we're past this pandemic. That's what we're hoping for.
And we're all hoping for that. And let's take a break for the bottom of the hour news. The number to call with your questions, 801-575-8255. You can text us at 57500.
Good afternoon. It's 12:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Kira Hoffelmeyer. KSL's top local story this hour. In just 6 days, everyone 16 and older who wants a vaccine will be able to sign up starting next Wednesday. Governor Spencer Cox made the announcement during his monthly news conference with KUED. Each county has different sign-up processes, so make sure you check on their website. And remember, you can go anywhere in the state to get a vaccine. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. An Asian American woman who fought back against someone who attacked her is talking about what happened today. KPIX 5 in San Francisco reports 76-year-old Xiaoze Shea was waiting by a traffic light when a man suddenly punched her in the face. She then hit her attacker with a stick in self-defense. Analysis by California State University San Bernardino found hate crimes targeting the Asian community rose by nearly 150% in 2020. Utah leaders are speaking out against a rise in attacks against Asian Americans across the country. Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill told Dave and Dujanovic racially targeted crimes are historically underreported.
A lot of that is something that, which is sad to say, you come to expect. So a lot of that is the verbal harassment, the sort of the racist, discriminatory statements that are made to you as an encounter that occurs, and it's short, but it is definitely targeted at you.
Gill says it is so underreported because crimes like this happen more than people realize. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 22 to 33,037, the S&P down 30, and the NASDAQ also down 272. Coming up, enjoy the warm weather while you can. KSL Weather's next. KSL News Time, 12:32.
Our morning team is searching for breaking news hours before you wake up.
When you flip on KSL News Radio,
It's the source you've depended on all these years.
I'm Tim Hughes.
And I'm Amanda Dixon, Utah's morning companions for news.
Do you want to retire in the next 5 years? How will you ensure you cover all your bases so you don't overlook or underestimate anything? Learn how with the Ultimate Retirement Planning Checklist. It's free from Boss Retirement Solutions in Salt Lake, winner of Utah's Best of State Award for retirement planning. This free guide is the result of decades of financial planning experience with thousands of people. To get your free retirement planning checklist, be one of the first 10 callers now at 801-682-4448. This free guide could be the single most important tool to help you retire successfully. Get your free guide now by calling 801-682-4448. 801-682-4448.
Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
I'm not retired. I don't have grandkids. I barely have kids. I've never had brunch. I haven't celebrated my 40th high school reunion, and I don't have my house paid off. But I do deserve a piece of luxury. So I drive Cadillac.
Cadillac owners have changed. The luxury hasn't. Visit Jerry Seiner Cadillac for a test drive today at 1530 South 500 West in Salt Lake or online at jerryseinercadillac.com. Experience the Seiner difference.
Hey everyone, it's CJ McCullum, host of the Pull Up Podcast. Whether it's after a tough game or practice, there's nothing better than a nice hot shower to get you feeling your best. And the crucial part of that process is the body wash you use. The new Dove Men plant-based body wash is different because it uses plant-based cleansers and moisturizers. It's clean, it's fresh, and it leaves your skin feeling healthy and hydrated. Relax your body and mind. Shower with the new Dove Men plant-based body wash.
Experience the Dove Men Plus Care plant-based line for yourself. Buy it now at Walmart and Target.
NMLS 1817019. Rates are rising, but LendRight Mortgage still has 15-year refi rates as low as 1.875% with APR of 2.17. Yes, you can still get a 15-year rate in the ones. This is Rod with LendRight Mortgage. Switching to a 15-year term with a rate as low as 1.875% can cut years and tens of thousands off your mortgage. But time is running out to lock in these historically low rates. A 20-year rate is as low as 2.125% with APR of 2.38. A 30-year rate is as low as 2.49% with APR of 2.68. Call 801-APPROVE or visit lendrightmortgage.com. 15-year refi rates in the ones will soon be gone. Call 801-APPROVE or visit lendrightmortgage.com.
If you see a traffic accident and it's safe for you to text, alert us at 57500. That's the UCCU KSL text line. Love where you bank.
Traffic and weather together. Here is Andy Farnsworth in the traffic center. Andy, what's going on?
Well, we've got a crash in Ogden on Washington Boulevard at looks like 700 north-ish. It's the northbound left lane is closed going through the intersection. Everything else is pretty quiet. We had a crash out in West Jordan at 78 South near Jordan Landing, but I don't see that anymore. Just some Bangor or highway slowdowns in the construction near the 114th South, 104th South intersections going through South Jordan. Right now, buy one suit for $299 and get a second suit for only $1. Going on now at all 9 Mr. Mac locations. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, warm today and tomorrow. It could get up in the 70s tomorrow if you're lucky. Nice weather trend gets rained out on Saturday, though, with some possible showers in the mix, 70% chance of those. Sunday's going to be cooler with some cloud, and it sets the trend for next week. Right now, it's 57 degrees with some clouds in the sky at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. This is Utah's all-day companion for news.
This hour, it's Let Me Speak to the Governor. Governor Spencer Cox answers questions from KSL. And from you, call now, 801-575-8255. Let Me Speak to the Governor, live from the studios of KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Thank you for joining us for Let Me Speak to the Governor. I'm Maria Chaleos, along with Governor Spencer Cox. And Governor, every time you lower the age for people to get the vaccine, the big problem becomes scheduling. So we have a number of people asking scheduling questions. And one of the first ones, they're asking, how can they schedule a vaccine before April? Because the Salt Lake County website says none are available until April.
Yeah, so first of all, there are lots of different places to get a vaccine. Well, early in when I became governor, the first thing I did was make it so only local health departments were delivering vaccines because we didn't have enough, and they were by far the most efficient. Over the past couple months, we've been expanding that greatly, and the federal government also has pharmacy partners that they have been giving direct allocations to. And so right now, there are dozens of places in this state where people can get vaccinated. We also removed the geographic requirements, so you don't have to just go to the county where you are located. You can look at any county. So if you go to coronavirus.utah.gov/vaccine, there you can see all of the partners. Now, again, this makes it a little more complicated because at the same time, it's great that there are lots of places, but they're unable because there are so many different partners, and they have their own scheduling applications and back-end pieces. It's impossible to unify all of those. So you have to click through and try different ones to find them, but they're all located there. You can check if Lake County is not available. You may be able to get one at Smith's. You may be able to get one at Walmart, at Harmon's. You can look in Utah County where they've had more availability. Davis County, again, there are lots of different places to get vaccines. So keep trying. Don't give up, but do recognize that there is not enough vaccine for all of the demand right now. So it may take a few weeks, but keep trying, and eventually we'll get everyone in there.
Josh is calling from Magna also with a coronavirus question. Good afternoon, Josh.
Yes. Hi, Governor. This is Josh Blake. I have a question. So, you've been talking about a lot about the church and how the gatherings of 50 people, still have a mask mandate. I was just wondering, will churches still require masks, and or is that up to the first presidency?
Yeah, thank you, Josh. That's a good question, and I'm going to blow your mind just a little bit here, and many people. I bet that most people listening to this think that the state has mandated masks in churches, and the truth is that we haven't. That has been completely voluntary, and every church, just about every church in the state, has made the decision to require masks in their congregations, and that's a very smart thing to do. The churches were right to do that, and they're right to continue to do that, again, to protect the health and safety of everyone out there. So that has always been the case, and that will continue to be the case. That it will be up to the authorities in every church to decide how long they want to keep masks in place, and when they'll decide to take those away. So, but nothing is changing there. Churches have always had the ability to make those decisions, and that will continue going forward. Thanks for the question.
All right, Josh, thanks for your call. Our next texter is asking, Governor, they say they've had COVID in the past 90 days, and the site says not to schedule an appointment for a vaccine. They're wondering how long antibodies protect us, and should they get an antibody test each month to see if they still have immunity?
Yeah, great question. So there's no reason to get an antibody test every month. That's certainly not necessary. That 90-day waiting period comes directly from the CDC, and it's smart to wait that long for several different reasons. But maybe the most important one is that you do have some immunity right now, and so let's use the vaccine for those that don't. And your waiting you're already protected at some level, and so this will help us to get more people protected, and that's a really good thing. The reason that case numbers are dropping so much in the state is a combination of the great number of vaccines. Now over 1 million people have been vaccinated, over 1 million doses of vaccine have been delivered. Some of those are second doses in the state, but also because we've had lots of people who have had the disease, and so that's why the virus is having a hard time finding bodies that don't have any immunity. There are two types of immunity that come from actually having the disease. And you mentioned antibodies. We do know that antibodies don't last forever. We're not sure. They last different lengths in other people. But we also have T-cell immunity, which is the ability of the body to remember this disease. And it's also triggered, again, by getting the vaccine. So your body remembers this disease and knows how to go about attacking it. And so that T-cell immunity, that doesn't show up in an antibody test. And we know it does last longer than the antibodies last. And so that's why we don't recommend getting an antibody test, but waiting the 90 days since you've had the coronavirus, and then just going ahead and getting vaccinated. That's the best way. Again, the best experts have made that recommendation, and we believe that that's the best way to keep you safe. And again, make sure we're getting vaccine out to as many people as possible.
You didn't know you needed a medical degree to become governor, right?
I did not at all, Maria. I have read more medical papers and studies over the past year than the rest of my life combined, and it's not even close.
Let's take our next caller. That is Dwayne in Heber. Good afternoon, Dwayne.
Hi, how are you?
Great, thanks. What's your question?
My question is, first of all, the state's done a really good job with their economics, and I just heard a report that the Biden administration is threatening to take away the state stimulus package money if we lower taxes. And I just wanted to get the governor's feeling about that.
Thank you for asking that question. I thought I might be asked that in my press conference today, and I wasn't, and I appreciate the opportunity to respond. I think it's insane what they're proposing. You're right, Utah has done an incredible job. You may have seen last week that U.S. News & World Report named Utah the best economy in the country. There was another report that came out that showed COVID, the death rate per capita, combined with the unemployment rate, combined with the ability to get kids back in school, those three metrics. And when you combine those three, Utah was #1 in the country. We have done an incredible job. Again, this past legislative session, record investment in education, almost $500 million. It's just incredible. Record investment in infrastructure. And this is what I'm most proud of, a $100 million tax cut targeted at our senior citizens, targeted at our veterans, and targeted at families. Utah is showing the rest of the nation how to do this the right way. Now, with this new stimulus package, there are a lot of things we don't know. Unfortunately, and Congress is doing more and more of this, they've given a tremendous amount of authority to the Treasury Secretary to make the rules around this, completely abdicating their responsibility, which is something I wish they would fix back there. Nonetheless, we believe that even if they do make that decision that you can't cut taxes, that would only apply to states that don't have a surplus, that haven't seen an increase over the past year. So Utah would be excluded for that. There is no way that it is constitutional to prevent us from or withhold the money that's supposed to come to our state because we cut taxes. And by the way, if they do that, then we will be participating in a lawsuit against the administration. The Attorney General, I think, mentioned that yesterday. We're fully supportive of that. And again, all they're doing is subsidizing those states that didn't do it the right way, that weren't safe about keeping their economy open and making those decisions. So Utah should not be penalized for leading the nation and having the best economy in the world and showing people that there's a better way to do things. And we will certainly fight against that at every turn. I also have to say, look, there are some important pieces of this stimulus. I'm not completely denigrating that. There are families and there are businesses that have been particularly hard hit, and we should be reaching out and helping them. But that's not what this does. This paints with such an incredibly broad brush that so many people, myself included, right? I'm doing just fine. I didn't miss a paycheck last year. I'm in good shape. My family is just fine. We haven't missed a beat. We're very fortunate. We're grateful for the support of the people of Utah and to be able to serve in this position. But I got a huge stimulus check in the last couple of days, and we're going to be donating a lot of that to help other people. But this type of recklessness, we don't know how this ends. We've never had an experiment quite like this, and I'm extremely worried about it. We should be focusing on those that need the most help. We should be giving more opportunity to people instead of just throwing money around. And I'm concerned about where this ends up. I think Utah has the right mix, and we're going to continue to fight for that.
All right, we're going to take a break, come back with our final segment of Let Me Speak to the Governor. The number to call, 801-575-8255. You can also text us at 57500.
We're on the phone with Colin Fryer from Red Cliffs Lodge in Moab. Oh, it's been a long time. Colin, what's going on in Moab?
Well, it's been a crazy year with the COVID deal, but we're open and it's spectacularly beautiful right here at Red Cliffs Lodge on the banks of the Colorado River. It's springtime at Red Cliffs and it's fun, safe, and inspirational. We're naturally socially distanced with 110 cabins and suites on 230-acre ranch. Private room entrances, private outdoor patios, individual HVAC, and kitchenettes in every unit. The restaurant and bar are spread out with a terraced indoor dining room and giant outdoor patios overlooking the Colorado River, and the full menus available for takeout to go back to your room. The parks are open. Ride your bike, ride one of our horses, hike, jeep, take some pictures, and of course relax and rejuvenate. Check us out on the web or give us a call at 435-259-2002 for our special room deals this month, Red Cliffs Lodge, Moab, Utah.
We all want to get back there. Back to big family dinners. Back to hanging out with our friends. Back to visiting our grandparents. Back to live music, live sports, and life as we used to know it. And getting back there starts with getting vaccinated for COVID-19. It's safe. It's effective. It's how we end this pandemic. So when it's your turn, get the vaccine. Learn more at coronavirus.utah.gov/vaccine.
The big free labor sale is going on right now at Ogden's Flooring and Design. Truckloads of top quality carpet in the latest styles and colors with the lowest prices of the year. Buy your carpet now and get it installed for free. That's right, you buy your carpet and Ogden's Flooring will install it for free. This also includes the lifetime labor warranty. It's also the grand opening of Ogden's Flooring and Design in Heber City. Request your free consultation right now. Visit ogdensflooring.com.
Ogden's Flooring and Design. This is Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio right here on KSL. Today, more than ever before, I'm reminded of my friends, my family, and those that I want to spend time with and create relationships with. And at our firm, the New Millennium Group, that's what we want to do for you. We want to free your time up to allow you to spend time with your loved ones. In fact, we want to help you retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible. And you know, all it takes is a phone call. Give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Let us give you a plan, not a product. My team is dedicated to helping people retire 3 to 5 years earlier than they thought possible. Give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com. Call right now to schedule a full financial review at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370.
When people have a clogged drain, a common way they try to unclog it is with a bottle of chemicals. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services. And the thing about chemicals is they don't know where the clogs stop and the drains in your home begin. I've seen pipes where the chemical has eaten all the way through the drains. So over time, you could be doing more damage than good. A much safer chemical reaction is baking soda and vinegar. Pour some baking soda down the drain, followed by some vinegar, and then you'll see it start to bubble. Let it sit for about 5 minutes, then send some hot water down the drain. If that doesn't work, you may need to call a plumber you trust for some help. If you don't know anyone, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. We have a risk-free drain clearing special for any homeowners listening. If water's supposed to drain down it, we can clear it. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, or even that sewer main line that connects with the city. Any drain with normal access, only $43. And if we can't clear it, you don't pay. $43 or it's free. Call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. That's 801-443-7700. Any Hour Services.
Get your questions answered by the governor. Call 801-575-8255 to join Let Me Speak to the Governor on KSL News Radio.
Thank you for joining us for Let Me Speak to the Governor. I'm Maria Chaleos, along with Utah Governor Spencer Cox, and we're taking your calls and questions right now. Governor, we lost Sonia, but she had a very important question, and it was, what are we doing to make sure that minorities are getting the vaccines?
Well, it is an important discussion, and I want to remind people that our minority population is already getting vaccinated. Right now, we have approximately 30,000 of our Latino population that has received at least one dose, 10,000 of our Asian American population, 21,000 other races with at least one vaccination, and we have about 200,000 people that did not record their race, so we're not sure exactly what percentage of those are, but we know that that's not good enough. There is definitely a gap. And the state, we released last week a very robust plan to ensure that various populations are vaccinated. We have mobile units right now that are going into neighborhoods and rural areas that are hard to reach. We're running ads in Spanish and translating into a whole bunch of other different languages. And we've engaged community members to make sure that their questions are answered and that we're getting the local community involved in this issue. Part of that is just access, and part of it is vaccine hesitancy. And so we want to make sure that we have trusted voices and trusted faces in those communities to help us get the message out. And we're really excited. That's one of the reasons we made this change, to be able to vaccinate everyone, is so that when these mobile units do go in, they don't have to pick and choose. They can just vaccinate everyone. And that's going to help close that gap very quickly.
Our next caller is Bob in Salt Lake City. Bob, what is your question?
Yes. Thanks for my call, Governor. Mine is you may not be able to answer this on the air. It may be something that requires a lot more thought. Today, you just issued a state of emergency concerning the drought in Utah. Utah, statewide, has always had a finite water source. And in the Salt Lake Valley in particular, we also have a finite air resource. At what point does the government entities that be say, you know what, we're not going to issue any more building permits without making it a net zero building? We're not going to keep registering all the vehicles that everybody wants to have registered in the state, because we're killing ourselves. At what point does the government jump in and do its job?
Well, thank you for the question. That's definitely a loaded question, and I think I can answer it. And I'm going to blow your mind here too, because it's amazing to me. People keep saying that we need to focus on the science, and then they completely tend to deny the science out there. I'm sure it would surprise you to know, especially the way you framed that question, that your air is cleaner today than it's been at any point in your lifetime. And in fact, it's significantly cleaner than it was just 14 years ago. We are doing better with air quality than we've ever done in our lifetimes, and that's not just me. We can send you the reports on that. You can see, in fact, it's been widely published. The Salt Lake Tribune, the Deseret News have both done articles over this in the past couple of years about how much cleaner our air is now than it was before. And the reason that is because technology is improving. We are building cleaner buildings. Our cars are much more cleaner, and as we have transitioned to Tier 3 gasoline, about half of our bad air is coming out of tailpipes. And Tier 3 gasoline mixed with the Tier 3 vehicle, which is vehicles after about 2017, it's a huge reduction. It's about an 80% reduction in those tailpipe emissions. So that's like taking 4 out of every 5 cars off the road. Now, look, I want a place for my kids to live here, and so we will continue to work. I believe that we're not going to legislate our way into clean air. That's not going to happen. What we're going to do is we're going to innovate our way into these things. And every day, the innovators out there are coming out with better, cleaner technology. And that's why our air is cleaner right now than it has been in generations. And so you should be patting the local government on the back instead of threatening them and telling them that they shouldn't allow anyone ever to build another building or to drive another car. That's crazy, and that's not healthy, and it's not good for our kids or grandkids. So I'm really excited at the innovators in our state who are doing great things. We have a bipartisan clean air caucus, Republicans and Democrats working together. We have more clean air legislation coming out over the past 3 years than we have at any time in our state's history. People are taking this really seriously, but the idea that we're never going to issue another building permit or allow another car on the road is kind of crazy. So anyway, thanks for the question, Bob.
Governor, follow up on the drought emergency. Why declare a drought emergency at this point in time?
Well, there are lots of reasons, and our snowpack right now, unfortunately, is only about 70% of average for the year. Now, that's okay. 70% isn't terrible. We've had worse, but the problem is you have to look at what we were coming from. And so we had a bad year last year, and so we needed at least an average year, if not an above normal year this year to be able to make up for that. Right now, the entire state is in some form of drought. 90% of that is extreme drought. There's a scale of 5 different droughts. Extreme drought is 4, is 4th on that scale, and then exceptional drought is the highest on the list, and about 57% of the state is listed as exceptional drought. Our state water storage, our reservoir storage, has decreased by about 14% over the past year. And here's the other thing that worries me: the soil content, the water content in our soil is much lower than it has been in a long time, and that means that when the runoff comes, it's going to go down into the ground instead of into the reservoirs. And so that's why we've had to declare this drought, and we encourage people to be careful. To conserve water as we head into this. And of course, water districts will make the determination on putting limitations on how much water we're using as we head into this spring and summer water year.
Right. And what does declaring a drought emergency allow the state to do?
Well, it does a couple things. It allows these drought-affected communities, agriculture producers, and others to officially begin the process that may provide access to state and federal resources as they're needed. So we do have resources out there. The federal government has resources when those drought declarations happen, and it allows us to do that. It's also a messaging piece to help people understand that, hey, this is going to be a tough year, so let's start preparing now and making the decisions that we need in agriculture, in our personal consumption to make sure that we're making that water go as far as possible.
All right, Governor, we have about a minute left. Any final message you would like to leave with our listeners?
Well, I would just like to thank your listeners for the great work. We have so much to celebrate. We tend to focus on the negative. My goodness, if you had told me a couple months ago that right now we would be under 500 cases per day in the state, we haven't been there since September. It's a long time. Our hospitals now have plenty of capacity. And vaccinations, this miracle that we were told would take at least 18 months, maybe 2 years, and here we are a year into this, and we've delivered over 1 million doses. We are in great shape, but what I need everyone to get their vaccine. I need you to do that. That's how we get back to normal. And so when it's your turn, starting next Wednesday, and again, don't schedule until next Wednesday if you're under the age of 50 or don't have an underlying comorbidity. But we're so close. Let's get through this together.
Governor, thank you so much, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks, Maria.
And thank you for joining us for Let Me Speak to the Governor.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City.
Good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock at KSL News.